system.
We are here. We're trying some new things here to see what we can do.
So, Jean, do you want to go ahead and start and tell everyone what today's topic is going to be?
Yes. I'm sorry, I was taking headphones out. We were playing with technology, right?
Yes.
I had a client ask me the other day the difference between the pre-approval and, hi, Robbin, the difference between the pre-approval and the mortgage approval, because they were actually waiting for the closing to be scheduled. And I had said, well, we don't have the clear to close yet. We're waiting for the written mortgage approval. And they said, well, I thought we already have it. We had a pre-approval when the offer came in.
Yes. So I've had similar situations occur. There is a big difference between the pre-approval and an actual loan application. Mm-hmm. And many times it's confusing because, yes, to go through the pre-approval process, clients do have to sign, sometimes they have to sign some paperwork, they provide a lot of documentation, they answer all of the questions on the formal loan application, but the file itself doesn't necessarily go to underwriting. So the pre-approval process is kind of an informal application process.
Okay.
And, because the same steps occur to go through underwriting, it may not be clear to the consumer that the pre-approval is not the same as the loan application. So the biggest difference is that the pre-approval will ask questions, collect documentation, gather paperwork from you, but until your file is actually reviewed by a live underwriter, a credit decision by an underwriter is the only way to have a formal loan application. So it's very different. So by federal law, whenever we have a subject property to tie to the application, we can then send out a full disclosure package. And this is one of 6 points that we need to complete an application, but I'm just going to keep it simple. So when we have the property address, we then are required to, within 3 days, provide a full disclosure package. It talks about all of the regulations, consumer rights to the client. And within that package is going to be a document called the intent to proceed. And that is what is being referenced in the contract.
So really what you're saying is, and this is kind of the way I explained it to the client too, there's two big pieces that make the difference. I know there's a lot of other things, but if we're speaking in very general terms, two pieces that make a pre-approval different from a written mortgage approval would be the underwriting and the approval from underwriting, and that there's actually a property address attached to the full mortgage approval. Because you can do a pre-approval without a property address attached to it. Would that be right?
Yes. So interestingly, in the mortgage industry, I mean, there are some...
Or did I go down a rabbit hole that we don't need to go down? Feel free to tell me I went down a rabbit hole and I'll just back right out again.
No, I like it. So basically a pre-approval can be an automated approval depending on what the letter states, or it can actually be a file that was reviewed by an underwriter.
Okay.
But what differentiates then the difference, this intent to proceed typically is not going to be available unless you have a property address.
That's what I meant to say. Intent to proceed is directly related to a property address. And that intent to proceed paragraph is included in the purchase contract. And therefore, on the purchase contract, there is the property address.
Yes.
Okay, we're back out of the rabbit hole. Okay.
So most people will go through the same process. They've gone through the pre-approval, they've answered questions, provided documentation, but they have not signed the formal loan application, intent to proceed, or received all the federal disclosures that are required when applying for a mortgage. So, per the contract, there is a certain period of time that you have to formally go through the process and sign this intent to proceed with the loan application, which is what the seller is asking to verify to stay within your deadline of the contract. And what is that typical timeline on the contract?
You know what? And I was actually just going to pull it out. There is a default time in there that I don't have it in front of me. I want to say it's 30 days. that is a default time period, we normally try to really squeeze that up a lot more, because if you're doing a 30-day close, that intent to proceed can't be pushed out that far. So we really like it within probably 10 days or so that we're moving the process along, because that paragraph was added so that the appraisal can be ordered and we're not stalling.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because there were a lot of times if there were issues with a property, then we could fall into a stall. And when we've got the intent to proceed date in there, it's really holding everybody accountable to keep the transaction moving forward.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay.
Do we cover everything?
I think so. We need to kind of let that sink in a little bit. And obviously, the best information is relative to each individual contract. And when we're in a relationship with a buyer or a seller, we can talk through each of those details as it relates to that individual transaction. So really everything we're talking about is in very general terms, but we're going to go through it step by step with each of our clients, right?
Perfect.
Awesome.
All
Okay,
right.
next week.
Next week we'll have another topic.
Hey, woohoo. All righty. Bye, everybody.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye.